All right. Hello, everyone. It's Thursday, and we had enough weather this week. I think I'm done. I want to go back to drought.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that people don't realize is like we didn't have fog during the drought.
That's true.
Because there's no water in the ground to create it. Now with all this rain, we have all this horrible fog.
See, I'm the kind of person that kind of enjoys rainy and foggy weather, but I guess I'm odd.
No, I do too, but as long as I don't have to go out in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's no big deal. Run to the truck, come here. When I used to have a 3-car garage and I could walk out in my garage and get my truck and then drive to, it was no big deal. But, it's a little bit differently when your vehicles are outside.
This was years ago now, but I grew up in Manteca, and, they still have a ton of agricultural land out there, especially by like the 120. And I was going to school at night, and I got on the 120 and the fog was so bad. I literally had to drive on the markers and hear the bumps. I mean, I don't know. So
that's how it was when I was a kid in Hillmar, or out in Turlock.
Yeah, way out in the country. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be going somewhere and it's like, okay, I know the road's coming up here soon. I know the road's coming. There it is.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's some bad fog. And, back then, that was a long time ago, we didn't have the lights like we have now that are brighter and people can see in different colors that are brighter. Like I have different covers for my these beams that I have on my truck.
Mm-hmm.
Yellow for regular, driving or whatever if I need them, and then blue for the snow.
Oh,
so supposedly with the blue, you don't get the reflection back from the snow going in your face when you're going. The biggest problem is I can't use them on the road because it'll blind the person coming down the road. Yeah. But in certain parts of up there's a 2-lane one way and you can't see the other side. So then I'll use them to make sure I don't hit a deer or something.
Yeah.
But you just gotta that's the thing about weather. We have some in California, but nothing like the rest of the country's been going through.
So. Yeah. So one of my good friends just moved out to Iowa, and he posted, it was on Christmas Eve. The ambient temperature was -27, right? And it was snowing like sideways. With the wind chill, it was -43.
After -0, it doesn't really matter.
He posted something, said, I can't feel my hands.
Yeah, well, don't get the heck out of there. You don't want to be in that for any period of time.
Yeah.
That's like Colorado. I mean, that's how it was when I was a kid. I'd go visit. We go there during the winter to, have Christmas there or whatever. And you're coming out of certain places, it's -22 as you're driving. You're just thinking, wow, that's like, going to the desert in the summer, going to Las Vegas, and you're, 122 or so, some ridiculous number. It's like, you don't want to be stuck in it.
Yeah.
If you can get through it, you're fine. You don't want to be stuck in it. That's why my son's like, I'm just going to be so happy to get out of Alaska, because that starts snowing early and it snows late.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, he's going to Washington, so he's still going to have other issues like rain.
Yeah.
All the time.
It'll be green and lush and wet.
Rain and depressing.
Unless you like it, right?
Yeah, people like it for a while.
Hey, I mean, how do you think they came up with grunge music, right?
I don't know. Oh, because of the weather.
Oh, yeah, they're all from Washington. Yeah. All from Seattle. Yeah.
You're doing your age. All right, what's going on this week? Rates are all over the place, like it's always going to be until next year, and we get the next inflation report coming out in the next couple of weeks to see where we are. A lot of people are asking me, what do you think is going to happen in 2023? And I've been reading a lot of stuff that says stop reading a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is I know where to. I've said it a few times, we don't have a housing crisis, we have an information crisis. And one of the problems is a lot of the information people put out there is, clickbait to get you to click on it, to go over here and read this. And then if you really read it, it's really saying nothing.
Yeah.
Bottom line, nobody really knows what's going to happen next year. We can only predict. And I have a feeling if rates go down, like we think they're going to go down, and it's going to be just like I've been saying, every 1% is going to be 2.5 more million people back in the market, because then it becomes more affordable for people. As things become more affordable, that means more people are going to start looking. But there's still only one house for those 20 people, right? Or 5 people, or one. You can only sell it to one person. So the problem is, as that happens, you're going to be back where we were, where people are going to be bidding over, paying, that kind of stuff. And if you want the house, I would get it in the first 6 months of the year.
Yeah. There's,
that's I don't want to just say the first 3 months because maybe you have stuff going on, but I want to, you need to get into it before it gets closer to the end of the year because it's going to, for what I'm hearing, 2024 is going to be like 2021.
Yeah, and it's been pretty rare like the last 6 months to see like any kind of bidding wars. And
Mhm.
for buyers, especially like qualified buyers, that's a great thing. It's a good opportunity. I do see that a renewed optimism. There was
Yeah.
that initial shock, right? And people kind of shook that off, and then we got into the holidays, and even some sellers, that have bought and sold homes in the past, still are under this impression, that the holidays or the winter season just isn't a good time. Um, I'm not seeing that, especially with first time home buyers.
Right. Well, we always say the best time to buy is when you're ready
Yeah,
and thinking about it. And that's what you need to do. Start getting ready and think about it. But I'm amazed how many, like in Merced, you can still find houses in the 300 range.
yeah,
But I know you have to move down there, but I'm just saying it's, and we hadn't seen anything in that range up in Sonora forever, but they started selling these little 2 bedrooms, 1 baths or 2 baths, little, used to be rentals, but they're all selling them now. And so you can still find stuff out there. It's just really difficult to find something like in our area that's affordable.
yeah. Well, and like we talked about, plenty of times, that what you have to make annually right now to qualify for like the median house price is quite a bit more. Home affordability is down. Um,
Compared to where it was
yeah,
in 2020 and 21 when rates were so low, yes. But we also were in a pandemic, which also meant a lot of people couldn't buy because they lost their jobs,
yeah,
right? So there's that caveat also.
yeah. I mean, it was just a whole congruence of events that just were kind of unpredictable, and I hope we don't see that again because it just made for a super crazy market, right?
Well, last time was 100 years before that, so I'm hoping the next one will be 100 years where I won't be around for it.
Yeah,
But the issue is just, you got to rent or buy. If you rent, you're throwing your money away to somebody else's mortgage, and if you look at how much you're throwing away, if you add a little bit more to that, it's actually going to be an investment in your house. And it's hard for people to understand that because they look at it, go, "Oh, it's only cost me $2,200 a month." That's 24 grand a year, actually more than that, but it's Thursday and I'm tired.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying but you could be putting that same number into your home plus a little bit more, and now it's your home. And it's hard for people to understand that because it was so easy. And, if they could find a house in 20 and 21 with low interest rates, and it's like, okay, your payment's the same as your rent or less than your rent. Well, affordability went up when rates went up, right? The lack of it's not affordable
Yeah.
now. But it still is, and I try to explain to people, there's still 9 million jobs out there, is what they say.
Well, and sellers are willing to do rate buy downs. If the house
Right,
is
but let me finish this. If
okay.
you don't have the job to buy the house you want because you're making 20 bucks an hour, go find a better job. Go back to school, go become a nurse, go become whatever so you can afford it. I mean, that's who I'm amazed starting salary for nurses is 140 $50,000 a year.
Excellent job.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
same as like go be a police officer, go be sheriff, go get some job that is got a good paying wage to it. And I'm not saying not to, I want to go back to your point, but look at other jobs. No other time in history have we had this many jobs available and a financial crisis at the same time.
Well, and time back into jobs and good paying jobs. So was it Measure H? If you're here local in Modesto, Measure H just passed, which was a like a supplemental tax. But that's funding the police and fire departments,
Mhm.
and so they have a budget to hire again. So
And also paying, you watch, the city's going to get a pay raise.
yeah,
Well, first of all, from what I understand, I mean, county, the same person in county is getting paid more than at the city. City needs to raise their wages to pay their people to get good people there again.
gotcha.
That needs to happen. But the problem is people are going to go, see, told you so, and that happens, but they don't understand. But so the issue is find a better job, period. Right. Don't be just because you're in the job you're at doesn't mean you can't get a better job and go look for a better job. So you can own a home. Right.
Mhm.
It's the same. Let's find out what those numbers need to be and let's do that. But you're right. In our area, you need to make close to 100 grand a year to afford anything, especially if your car payments.
Yeah. Well,
You,
and yeah, well, yeah. I'm gonna say that's when being ready for the market and having very little debt, so your debt to income ratio is good, is so critical,
Yeah,
right?
well, that 2% of the people who are that ready, we don't always deal with them.
Yeah. The unicorn buyer, right?
Well, no, there's a lot of people who, who have that, but there's more people on the other side who, now all of a sudden they weren't planning to buy and now they have to because the people are selling the house they're in and they're looking at it. And, it's just, and to save for a down payment, yes, there are some down payment assistance programs, but you can't make a lot of money, or you're going to pay for it in the rate, or you're going to pay for it in another way. So there are some, but we need to look at what is the best program for you, because maybe an FHA with gift money from parents is a better than, or somebody else,
Yeah.
But the one thing I always tell people, I think I've said on a couple of shows, is if you're a parent and you want to help your kid buy a house and you don't have the money, add them on one of your credit cards or two of your credit cards as authorized user, so they can get that score, so they can have a higher score and have more opportunities.
Yeah. Now, now this is kind of a tip for renters that are thinking about buying, but probably aren't ready yet. Because you just mentioned it, as far as like a landlord deciding to sell the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we saw that a lot in 2020 and even 2021, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're going to give someone notice, you have to give them a 60-day notice if you're going to be putting the house on the market, right? That doesn't mean they can't start showing the house while you're still living there, but you're getting a 60-day notice to move regardless, right? 60 days is really hard to fix any kind of credit issues or save up money, things like that, right? So if you're in an apartment right now and you're thinking about buying a house, I would say hang out in that apartment, because obviously they're not going to sell the place out, right? You might get a rent increase, but you're not going to find yourself flat out on your butt unprepared.
Right.
Don't go rent a house because you think it's a better value, because as far as like stability goes from a landlord's point of view, yeah, stay in an apartment because they see it as a unit. And there is certain there is rent caps that were put in place in 2020, right? But that's only for corporately managed homes, right? So if it's an individual owner that owns just like one rental property, yeah, they don't
They
really
don't have the cap.
they don't have to play by the rules. So
Gotcha. The other thing about if you're renting right now, get it on your credit report. And I'm not talking through Boost, Experian Boost. I'm talking about reach out to myself or somebody else. We have a couple different agencies that will add it on to all your scores on, and it will add about 40 points to your FICO score, all across all of them. And everybody can do it. Not just one company can do it. Everybody can do it. So, that's something you should do automatically. So that's on there. So you get a better score, because and you're paying your rent. You might as well get a benefit from it each month until you're ready to move. And if you reach out to me, I can send you, it's just a flyer. I don't make any money off of it. It's just one way to help people increase their score. And if I can get you to increase your score before you call me, as we're ready, it just makes it so much easier.
Yeah. I do see like this critical window of time, as far as like people being able to buy homes, right? Because more and more, and I know it's probably anecdotal, but I get all kinds of offers, like my own personal residence, right? And whether it's mail or phone calls or just random stuff, right?
We want a cash offer for your house.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I get that text all the time.
there's investors out there that really are trying to buy up everything before it hits the market.
Of course, because they don't want it to hit the market.
They want to get an incredible deal, but eventually over time, there's going to be no homes to sell.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you're more corporations, more companies like that are buying up property. I mean, I'm getting hit up all the time about my land up in Twainhart, the 32 acres.
Mm-hmm.
You want to sell it? Yeah, I'll sell it for the right price, $1 million.
Yeah.
And you pay my taxes.
Anyone bite yet?
No, because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, we bought it for what we bought it for. It's probably worth 3 times what we paid for it. But still, I mean, is it worth it to let go of it yet? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll let you know in this month, January.
But yeah, I mean, time back into what we were saying, like be careful where you get your news, right?
Yeah, that's important. Don't get it here.
Yeah. I mean, if they were selling sunshine and lollipops, no one would tune in, right? About the only news organization I know that gives positive news is like Good Day Sacramento, which, like, when I used to watch the news, I used to enjoy them, right? But yeah, I mean, you have to talk to people that are in your market, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the easiest way. That's probably I should say, I have the same conversations at open houses, and it's always this, the same talking points they got from the main news organizations. And I mean, it gives me a chance to explain to them why they're wrong,
Right.
So I never complain about that, but it is just funny how like people only get their news from a couple places and they
Right.
just say that's gospel.
Right, of course. Well, that's what they think. The headlines, everything else. The issue
Yeah.
really is, and they're also wanting to know what to do. Because I always get asked, is it a good time to buy? Are rates going to come down? Nobody ever comes to me and says, I want the highest rate and the most cost.
Yeah.
It's like the standard questions, the standard, this is the same thing. And well, how do you know? And you go through the whole process and explain to them. And that's what we do. We have to fight off, because I've said this before, but Susie Orlick, or whatever her name is, on CNBC has been saying, don't buy in the real estate market for the last 10 years.
Yeah. Is that because she's trying to buy everything?
I have no idea, man. She's never been positive about the real estate market ever. And so I don't understand.
Yeah. What are her investments in?
I don't know. Maybe she got burned once. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe she should talk to Nancy Pelosi. They got a good plan going.
Yeah. Keep all the buyers out of the market so they can scoop them up. Huh?
I don't know what that is, but and stop listening to other people. It's the best. It doesn't matter. So if you bought today and house values went down 10%, and 20 years from now, it won't matter. And 10 years from now, it won't matter. A lot of people who lost their homes, or, they did short sales, or some people kept them, they waited, the house values came back, and, things like that happen. We're not going to see 2008. We don't have 3.5 million houses on the market. We don't have builders still building with that happening. Builders stopped building. We're short homes big time. A 20-year amount of time that's going to take to get these homes that we need back, built. It's not going to happen overnight. And people don't really understand that. They still don't get that.
So I had a former boss that was a real estate investor, right? And he bought a lot of multifamily, but he would always tell me, he's like, back in the 80s, I thought the prices in the Bay Area were ridiculous and unsustainable. He's like, and then early 2000s, I said the same thing. He's like, and now here we are.
Right.
This was like 2019. He's like, I never would have thought that I could have made millions of dollars just by holding on to some rentals in the Bay. So people are so short-sighted when we think about investments, and I know a home is hard to really view as an investment when you're living in it, but if you can change your mentality and think long-term, right? I mean, you wouldn't look at your retirement account in your 40s and be like, oh man, it's down.
Well, they do.
It's never going to go up.
They do. People do.
Yeah.
They look at today, and they're, instead of just don't look at it, as things go down, you buy additional in the stock market. Yeah. With housing's the same way, but don't sell any real estate you buy, keep it forever. And people don't understand that. Well, most people have been doing that lately, right? There's so many people out there who own multiple properties, own different things, have these. I know more people who are in real estate investors now than I ever had, right? More than before 2008, the whole fiasco back then. Somebody bought after that and have so many houses. But then even since then, when the things went up the other way, 14 and everything, people bought more and more homes, and house values are going to go up. House values are not going to go down. They'll, appreciation might, but overall, it's going to go up over time. Yeah. I'm just afraid of 2024. We're not going to have, house values go up. There's not going to be enough houses. Even if rates are low, we're still going to have affordability issues.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's, where do people go? Where do people buy? Wherever there's a house. And I think more people will be moving out of California just so that other people can buy their houses.
Yeah. Well, and I've had so many apprehensive buyers over the years, like, oh man, I just don't know. I don't think I can afford it. And you know what? I haven't had a single person with buyer's remorse yet. If you're qualified, by the loan officer, by the lender, when you're thinking about buying and you purchase, obviously they're not going to put you into a house that you can't afford. Sometimes there's some lifestyle changes, but they're always much happier giving up, going out to dinner once a week and Starbucks every day versus not having a place to call their own.
Right. It's important to focus on we're not in 2008 where we had all these horrible loan programs that people were put into that were, pick a pay and all that. There's none of those. Everybody has equity. 52% of the homes have at least $300,000 in equity. Then you have a third of them who have no mortgage on them. It's just amazing, that information.
Yeah.
You'll see. And that's the problem why we don't have houses on the market to sell, is because people don't have to. They can afford their payment. Yes, we're going to start seeing some people foreclosures and things going forward here when people are losing their jobs and other things happening, but that has nothing to do with the housing market.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've been going a little longer.
Yeah,
here.
I know.
The most important thing we were kind of talking about today was what's going on in 2023. Buy your home. If you own a home, stay in it. Don't sell it. Keep it. If you're going to move somewhere else, rent it. Go buy there. Make sure you want to live there. These are little things we want to say, but don't.
I think that's good advice.
Yeah, go, and because you don't want to sell out in California, because the appreciation value of California is, it's going to be ridiculous going forward. I don't care. You can mark my words. You watch 5 years from now, we're all going to say, I didn't realize house values could go this high.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. And we're still short.
Yeah.
303.7 million homes. All right, everybody, make it a great day. Thanks for
Ed.
listening to us. And